Courage and the boldness that you gain after speaking affirmations over yourself. The more you hear it, the more you believe that it's true.
And welcome to Premier Fitness. I'm Gene Williams, your yoga instructor, and I'm here to tell you about the benefits of yoga.
Hey, everybody. Hey. Thank you for joining our show, Where is the Love? Welcome. I want to bring on my co-host. I'm excited. Today we have a guest. I want to bring on my co-host, Gene Williams, my son.
Hey, beautiful people. Hey, Ma, how you doing?
Hey.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I noticed that. Y'all get ready. Y'all know, although we talk about a very serious subject, bullying, we like to clown. We like to have fun. We are serious with the subject, but because we have experienced so much bullying, we now always revert to being happy, whatever makes us happy. So we clown a lot. We have a lot of fun, but we take this subject serious. So I want to let you know that we are on Roku. You can get us live on Roku TV. You can get us by searching Pod TV, POD TV space live, and get us live on Roku right now. You can also get us live on Amazon Fire on Pod TV, POD TV, all together. So welcome to the show. We always recap before we before we start our show. So we are going to recap last week's show. Y'all, we did episode 19.
Right.
So
can you believe that?
Wow, we started in April and we've been going strong ever since. And we have really been talking about the narcissist. Man, we cannot believe all the things that we've been learning about the narcissist. So Gene is going to do a quick recap. Go ahead, Gene.
All right. So episode 19, we discussed narcissistic bullying. We gave you details about the narcissist, how to identify people with narcissistic personality disorder. We gave you tips on how to deal with narcissists. And if you want to know more, go back to the last episode and check it out. All right?
Go back. Yeah, so we also we talk about bullying versus love because so many people think that you can just treat people any kind of way. And it's okay. As long as I say I love you, it's okay. What's the problem? I don't understand. So we always talk about love, and real love is compassionate, it's humble, it's kindness, it's meekness and gentleness, and treating people the way you want to be treated. It's patience. So I wanted to put that out there. We have a special guest today. We have been talking. We used to share a lot about how Gene and I both share about how we come to a peaceful place in our minds when, in chaotic situations, whether we're being bullied or whether we're being treated mean or whatever. When it's a chaotic situation, we have shared many things with you about how we, arrive at how we choose the peaceful place and whatever that peaceful place involves. We're not going to get into that right now, but you can go back to many of the shows and hear how we arrive at a peaceful place.
You got 20 choices. 20 choices.
Exactly. So we are going to welcome our guest. Our guest is Eliza Carter from the Breathing Experience, and she is going to share some information with you. So we'll bring her on and we'll let her talk and we'll have a conversation, and she's going to help you understand how to arrive at a peaceful place in your mind, to a peaceful state of mind. So Eliza Carter, welcome.
Hey.
We can't hear you. You're on mute.
Wow, that's a great Greetings of much love and peace to you both. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. We are looking forward to this conversation. And I know you heard that we, both of us have shared many times how we arrive at a peaceful state of mind, in chaotic situations. And so tell us about you and tell us about your ministry, your business, your organization. Tell us about you. Introduce yourself.
Okay. Well, I am Eliza Carter, and I'm a master breathologist. And I provide self-therapeutic tools to those who are stressed out, can't seem to process due to anxiety, burnout, wherever you find yourself at. I help you to arrive at a place where you can gain the tool skills of using ancient practices to get into a space of emotional freedom. Because a lot of times we don't realize after the pandemic, and which I honestly do say the planned-demic, that we have taken on so much stress and pressure that we were forced to do something against our own wills. And whenever you're forced to do something against your will, it creates a dynamic within you of resistance. So here we are, we're in our homes and we're in a spirit of resistance now. You know what I mean? The soul is all jacked up, the mind, the will, and the emotions. And we're trying to get along with people that sometimes we simply didn't get along with. And sometimes it's not the people, it's simply ourselves, So we actually had an awakening for the last couple of years. And the fear alone caused us to pick up a lot of anxiety disorders. And I'm pretty sure most people don't even recognize, because it's become such a norm, that we actually have this dysfunction with anxiety, And so according to the World Health Organization, over 1 billion people have mental health disorder. And that means for the workforce that a lot of people are going to do an exodus of the workforce. Now, this government and no government is set up for over 1 billion people being on assistance with disability. It's just not, it cannot happen. So our responsibility to ourselves is to own up and say, what am I going to do this time to get myself in a space where I shift and take responsibility for what's going on in here, what's happening all in here, so that I can now begin to heal. Because we know as practitioners here that the body was designed to heal itself.
Yeah.
But you've got to speak life into the body. You've got to release the tension, because either you're in resistance or you're in acceptance, and you can't be in both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, when are we going to really wake up and say the long-term effects of anxiety, burnout, mental health is leading into Alzheimer's and dementia? I was just talking to a lady today, and this is really deep. I was at a health and wellness forum today, and most of the organizations had information on Alzheimer's and dementia. So the government has already done the research. When are we going to understand, if we don't make the changes in ourselves, we're going to have people taking care of us? You know what I mean? And that's not what our lives is designed to do. Not even enough facilities around, because all the big facilities are now closing down, and the government's put a form in place where you can take care of your family members and get paid. How many family members will be in a mental state to take care of somebody else if they've not taken care of themselves? And as self-care givers or givers of care, if you don't know how to take breaks, take vacations, disconnect from the fact that you're caring for somebody consistently and you really don't have the skill set, because most of the time the family members did not go to school. It's not their total heart's desire. And they may simply don't have the compassion, and they find themselves once again in resistance. And we wonder why people are going off and just shooting one another. Why people are just falling apart and having nervous breakdowns and going down a rabbit hole and can't seem to get out of it, because we have to gain these new life skill sets. We have to. And this is the good thing. The good thing is that when you make a decision that you want to do some breath work, do some meditation, some yoga, you know what I mean? And begin to gain the skill set of emotional freedom techniques, you begin to feel happy You're just not in the crisis mode of saying, I'm going to do this right now because I need it. No, you're going to do it because you enjoy it. So when you get to a space where you're in a feeling stuck, you can pivot, use one of these tools, and then you can take yourself back into the happy space. But if you take yourself into a space where you stay in resistance in this time, I'm telling you, the system is not designed to take care of us. And we already know this. But until we wake up and say, you know what? Am I going to learn something new that could help me to heal, to rejuvenate myself, and to get myself to a space where I know now that when a surprise situation shows up, when the same situation shows up, I'm no longer going down the rabbit hole. And so that means depression, you know what I mean, and anxiety doesn't have the hold, because the more you learn how to do these tools and you make these techniques, which are proven scientific strategies, this is nothing new. It's just that our community has not been tapping in because we've lived in crisis mode so long. We think it's normal. It's not normal. That's hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Having the space that we want, that we deserve to have.
Yeah.
But you got to take authority over your life, and you got to have a willingness to say, you know what? Let me face myself in the mirror and say, what can I do? I have to speak life into my word by writing words on the mirror. So when I get up in the morning, I'm reading. You know what I mean? I love myself. Yeah. My body is whole. You know what I mean? I think with the mind of God. God is one with me. Me and the Father are one. You know what I mean? And so you go into these affirmations that begin to build your confidence. And when you build the confidence, what happens? Then the body begins to shift. And when the body begins to shift, it's literally accepting good health and well-being as your friendly response to life. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I find that most people don't have a morning practice. That's why a lot of people are really stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Something I heard you say a lot that really resonated with me is self-responsibility. You said that in quite a few different ways. It's about taking the action personally, knowing that you have an issue first. You know, that's the first step to recovery. Admitting that you have an issue and then doing the work consistently to get to the healing process. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that definitely resonated.
Awesome.
That's you gave a lot of great information. You said a mouthful, and lining up, getting your mind to shift and changing your mindset is so important when it comes to anything positive or anything that gives you life. Words that give you life is what you have to speak in order for your life to be changed. In order for that, to have that shift. So, man, tell us how you got started with doing your work. What led you to do this work?
Well, I had always been challenged from the time my parents broke up when I was 10 with depression. And I knew that from a perspective of it didn't feel good, but I could never name it. So my parents encouraged me to go to school for law. And so when I got through paralegal studies, I realized I was not really gifted in this area. I love to do research and writing and discover new things, but I knew since the age of 10, when that happened, that I had counseling abilities. It was an innate ability that God had given me. So long story short, I left school after I finished that portion of it, and I went and applied for a job that I was not qualified for on paper, but I knew innately, once again, I was qualified. And by default, I got the job. I went to the interview during the snow. And by default, I got the job because nobody else showed up. Right. So that actually blessed me in such a way. They put me through school for free.
Yeah.
But I was thrown into the onslaught of HIV and AIDS where the pandemic had come in, and I'm now looking at women coming in to get tested who were pregnant. That took me to a different level of stress because I'm like, Lord, how do I help these women? I'm not in this position, but I'm like, I'm listening to their stories, and the pressure, the burdens are piling up on me. And I'm going to tell you this, I began to smoke marijuana like a soldier. And it was my outlet at the time, you know. I mean, I had to wake up on it, you know. At lunchtime, I was out doing it again. And this is the thing. I know it smelled. I go back into the office. Didn't even think about that because I was so burdened down. But what I decided to do one day is go have a conversation with my director. And I said to her, this, that, and the others going on with the women. I think we need a self-care program. Now, this was in the 90s. She says, Eliza, do the research, come back and show me what you got. Well, I put together and the women began to do some level of healing. And that took me to a place where I followed them for 10 years. Then my job was 20 years. And then I literally got burnt out.
Yeah.
Because although I was creating and doing stuff that I thought helped them, I wasn't doing all the things for myself because I was giving out to everybody and not fully giving to myself, you know, but I didn't know this, you know. I thought because I was learning it and teaching it, you know, that it was happening for me, but that's not how it works. You have to do the inner work to experience the healing components of it, you know?
Yeah.
So I left there and got hired as a supervisor for a law firm. And I worked that for a while, but then I decided to take a paralegal's position. And now I'm getting suicide calls. And now I'm going through a divorce with a husband who was definitely narcissistic. And the conflict that was going on, you know, it was so strong that I said to the doctor, I'm walking away from my relationship, but I'm also perimenopausal. And he's Eliza, the last 3 times you've been to the doctor, your pressure's been high. So I realized at this point in time, I need to do something different. I need to do some research and find out if some natural remedies in place that I could use to get off what I'm now on is a high blood pressure medication. So what I did was I first researched the medication for the side effects because I immediately had side effects day one. I had a pain in my side, but I'm a person that constantly fasts and, you know, did blood cleansing and, you know, and just fasting. So I was used to a natural way. So it was easy for me to make the transition. However, the doctor was not in agreement at all because he's saying, Eliza, you know, this is a silent killer. I get all of that. However, this medication is practicing on me. Guess what? When I did the research, I found that the medication had been recalled.
Wow.
So I go to him and he says, Eliza, but that's a different medication. Then why are you guys using the same name? Right. How do I know it's a different medication? I don't know this. I'm trusting you with my life.
Yeah.
And now I got to begin to trust my spirit, you know? So as I did the research and I said, I'm getting off a high blood pressure medication. This is not going to work for me because I know eventually it's going to break down the kidney because it's not processing through the body properly. Long story short, it took me about 2 years to really get acclimated in the breath work and the meditation. And I just stepped out on faith. And I tell nobody else, don't do what I did. You know what I mean? You have to do the work and do the inner work, but you got to build your belief system first. Because I had to build my belief system, and it came from scriptures. One of my favorite scriptures was Psalm 107:20. God sent his word and healed me and delivered me from all destruction. I was, when I went to sleep, I would write it in my journal. I would sing songs about it, and I would actually see myself whole.
Yeah.
That brought in the healing. So I took myself off the meds, went back to the doctor, and he still wasn't comfortable, but I knew it was still in the process. So some horrific situation showed up. I went back to the meds because I lost faith.
Yeah.
And I got back off him quick again and says, what are you doing? I said, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I knew I was in the process, and I was willing to trust the process and not beat myself up, because I know at times my faith was strong, but other times it wasn't, So I continue to now do a lot more journaling. And then I started doing a different kind of exercise. I could feel the tension coming out the body, So
wow.
I really tapped into something that I really, really, really could take into my life on a daily basis. So when stress showed up, I knew how to get out of it. Certain conversations I wasn't having with people, certain things I wasn't indulging. I was now making my complete mental health and my physical health my top priority. And that's what really shifted my life when I made that commitment to myself to say, I have to really take this serious for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And the breathing experience was birthed from that. I didn't intend to make this no company. It's been one of the most challenging companies. And I've had businesses before. I grew up in a family business that was easier than this. But what I learned was that people have to be educated first.
Yes.
Face their fears and their self-convictions and make a decision. Are they going to make the change, or are they going to stay in a place where they depend on the medications that eventually will deplete different organs in their bodies?
Yeah. Go ahead, Gene.
I was actually going to ask a question, but you go ahead with what you were saying.
No, I remember.
Okay. Well, the question was, you brought up self-care, which is extremely important. So I wanted you, if you could, kind of give like a brief description of your personal self-care program.
So now for the breathing experience, I teach several rhythms, and I always tell everybody it starts with in the morning. A lot of people wake up, they go straight to their phone. I don't. My phone's on the other side of the room because I used to be guilty of that as well. So I begin to acknowledge that I'm awake, and I begin to give God praise and thank him. Then I go down to my organs and be thanking my organs for working well. You know what I mean? And then I put my earphones in because I have so many recorded messages of myself doing my own affirmations. And it's so soothing when you can hear your voice, because it's your voice that you need to know. That's how you build your confidence,
Wow.
So, and then I begin to drink a lot of water in the morning, and I usually put limes in it because I don't care how good we think this water is, it needs to be alkaline. I put cucumbers in it, you know what I mean? I put all kinds of different things in it, depending on where I am that day. Strawberries, blueberries, ginger. So I'm always preparing my water the night before so I can have some fresh water in the morning. Because every time I don't, my body talks back to me real loud.
Wow.
So after that, I go through my day, and I don't eat when I get up. I wait till my body tells me it's hungry. Because and I don't eat regular food. I stopped eating like dairy. I don't eat no eggs. I don't eat no meat anymore. And that was a long process, that I went through. And so, but I learned that once I was going through the process, when I stopped eating meat and went back to it, it would literally feel like a weight was on me. You know what I mean? So, and I learned this, and I tell women all the time, you think going to get your hair done, sitting up there letting them do your feet, going and getting a massage, you know what I mean? It feels good in the moment. But if you don't have a practice where you can feel good anytime you want, anywhere you want, then you have not really tapped into self-care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have an outer care. You look like you got it all together, but you're most of the time, you know what I mean? People are falling apart inside.
Mm-hmm.
We look outside. And I can say this, I always look good, but I didn't always feel good. You know what I mean? So, self-care is about dealing with the inner man so the outer man can look the best and feel the best, because the inner man dictates how everything is really working anyhow.
I want to add something, and now is the appropriate time. This book, is about workplace bullying, trouble on the inside, what's going on. This book is talking about what's going on physically, what you can see, and what's going on spiritually inside, what's happening. So, to help people to understand that, we are spirits, and we are constantly fighting or in spiritual battles. So you see one thing happening, but what you see happening on the outside physically is happening on the inside. So, the inside has to be dealt with and has to, I can say right now, has to be peaceful in order for the outside to be peaceful. It starts from the inside out, and it really starts from the inside out. So I just had to.
Great segue because now you wrote that book.
Yes, I self-published this book.
Okay,
see my name.
That's the title, but yes, I'll have to get that book. And you know what? I totally agree with you. We don't know what's coming next.
Right, exactly.
You cannot tune into your spirit. You're going to be led all over the place, and the places that could possibly cost you your life. You know what I mean? Because that's the time we're living in. One mistake can cost a person their life because they ignored the voice inside so long, they don't know when the real voice shows up. And we're in a time when we've got to get to a place where we become single-minded.
Yes.
We got to understand the law of rhythm, the law of oneness. You know what I mean? People have been tricked to realize that everything is just in the Bible, but you've got to do other research. Because there's natural laws that we're breaking all day long and wonder why our lives are chaotic, And until we get to a space we want to explore life and stop being told what we should believe and what we should think, and actually go within, because this is the thing about breath work. Breath work is spirit. Now, when you begin to tap into it where it becomes a normal practice for you, you can feel the presence of the Almighty right there as your support. You get creative ideas, solutions. There's release that comes. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's an experience that you create for yourself that is so enjoyable that you realize you're putting down all of the pressures and the stress, not just for the current time, but for years. Stuff starts getting broke up in your mind and your relationship with things that you've done, with your habits. I mean, there's so many shiftings that happen, and it's not overwhelming. It's actually ordered, you know what I mean, the way it comes out. And it's like, if we understood that we take our breath so for granted, and that really is our superpower. I have a talk that I do about our breathing being our superpower. And that takes me to my latest course, Breathe Into My Soul. That course, I took it from $147 for the last few months, now to $59.99. You can't beat it. It's an hour course, but it says it's an hour course, but that course you can actually go back and forth over again to begin to master some of the nose breathing, some of the mouth breathing, because you can't do mouth breathing all the time and get the same benefit as you do when you breathe through the nose, because when you breathe through the nose, it warms the inside. You can feel the presence of the Almighty, and it brings about a comforting, soothing moment. And the thing about it is we have the power to create it anytime we want.
Yeah.
But if you never tap in, you won't have it, Yeah.
It's funny that you said that your course is talking about being breathed into, because the word inspiration literally means to be breathed into.
Yes.
So that's beautiful.
Yes. Thank you. And then I wrote a book called Rewire Your Mind, Rewire Your Life. And I did it based off for the youth, but anybody can really read it, because I know a lot of them don't have a life plan. And a lot of adults don't have a life plan, because a lot of them
true.
Still acting like, they keep saying the new 40s is the 20s. Because if you act like you're in your 20s, you're 40, Houston, we got some major.
Man down 1032.
That's some major issues, man.
So, I'm so glad that that you brought about, the listening. I talked about in the class, the virtual class the other night about communication. Well, the Lord has been teaching me about communication, and not just communication, but the part of communication that I was missing, because I'm always saying that I pray. I do a lot, but stopping to listen after I pray.
There you go.
I did that for a while, and then I stopped. And so, and in the last week, the Lord said, this is a part of communication that you've forgotten. You pray to me and you talk to me, but you don't stop to listen. And so it reminded me of what a good friend of mine said, and that is, you can't receive if you're always transmitting. So now in the last week, I do prophetic journaling every morning before I get in the word, which has been my habit for many years, studying the word. But now I spend that time doing prophetic journaling. So I'm asking a question, I'm writing it down, or I'm talking, saying, Lord, this is how I feel, or a short prayer, Lord, addressing him. And then I listen. And it has been phenomenal. I mean, it's changing my life because I've done it before, but I didn't stick with it. And I don't know, Jean, you might be too young. And Eliza, I don't know how old you are. I'm thinking closer to my age. But Doogie Howser, do you remember Doogie Howser? You remember Doogie Howser, Jean? Yeah. So I remember the Lord reminded, yeah. So the Lord reminded me during this prophetic journaling, and I wrote it down on one of the mornings in the last week, that I remember years ago when I was watching Doogie Howser at the end of every show. And I didn't watch it all the time, but for some reason I always caught, not always, but most of the time when I caught him, it was toward the end of the show. Okay. And at the end of the show, he was writing and reading what he was writing. And so I said, Lord, I want to do that, every day. I said that back then. And so the Lord reminded me, remember, you said, you want to do what Doogie Howser did. Well, as part of what he did, he was talking about his day, but I want to. So I start out the day with that. And then I go into my studies. And it's been really helpful to me because it's getting me back in the practice of not just praying and not just talking to God, but hearing his response and writing that down too. And so I just wanted to add that it's been a great experience. And now,
because you know what? One thing I've learned out of everything else is that God wants us to feel like he's our friend. He's our father, that he's close to us.
Yes.
He's in us. You know what I mean? It's just, I can think about the years I went through formalities. You know what I mean? Because I was taught this way. Because when I got licensed as an evangelist and a minister of music, one day I was delivering the word and I told the pastor, I said, I'm not a preacher. He said, Eliza, I learned that. I said, I'm a teacher. I said, so, and in my teaching, I sit and just listen.
Yeah.
Feels so good to not have to do all this extra work. And that's what breath work did for me. I could take my time and breathe and still hear God. I was literally driving really fast the other day because I had to get somewhere. I'm driving really fast and I'm just talking, but I'm talking in my spirit. I'm not talking outward, and I had the sunroof open and this leaf jumps in and hits me right in the head at a point in time. I had a question and I knew that was the answer. And I was like, you gonna do me like that?
Yeah. That's how you do your girl.
I was like, oh, thank you. I took my hands off the chair. I said, okay, get back to the natural side of life. So grateful. And I took that lead and I was like, Lord, because I know no way in the world that anybody could have done that but him, because I asked him a certain question and he answered before I could even finish. It's speaking the way you're speaking, God is answering. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Lord, you done proved this thing to me.
Yep.
Oh, gosh. I'm gonna tell you, so when I got to where I got, it was so chaotic. I was like, Lord, that's why you set me up like that.
It's about to be crazy where you going. I got you.
Say that again, Jean. She didn't hear you.
It's like, it's about to be chaotic where you are, so I got you right now. This is the piece you need before you go here.
That's what I'm talking about. You can never underestimate God. He's always showing himself. He's always speaking. You know, I think about one time I said to the pastor, I says, God speaks to me a lot. He's Eliza. God don't speak to nobody that much. I said, I want him to. I said,
Yeah.
and I beg to differ. I said, because we have different relationships with him. And
Yes.
I want to hear him. I said, because when I don't hear him, I can cut up sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I said, I don't want to be in the mindset of thinking that God's over there or up there in the sky when he's right here inside of me. I said,
Yeah.
I've worked all this time to get to a space where I could hear him and still don't hear him. You know what I mean? At times.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I know I put myself in that space and I can feel his presence, it soothes me in so many areas of my life. And certain things I know that I'm not going through by myself. I know I'm fully supported. And God always sends us a witness, even if we don't even want one. He
Yeah.
sends people in our circle. You know, I always say the people who are closer to you, you'll see exactly who you really are. You know what I mean? And I don't even have 5 people I'm close to.
Yeah.
You know, and about that kind of stuff, I say, you know, it's about who really you communicate with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, you know, praying has been such a big component of us growing up when we grew up spiritually. But we weren't taught to listen, like you were saying. We weren't taught to say, okay, I'm just going to be quiet. Because now in meditation, they're telling you got to empty out your thoughts. Well, you don't.
Yeah.
Your thoughts are going to keep running. Let them run, because they're going to run out eventually.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you're going to speak life to yourself. But sometimes we got to simply get in the space where we accept the thoughts that we have, because we don't even understand why we have certain thoughts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you disrupting them and telling them to go, they come back stronger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so much to learn, and meditation. That brings me to my newest book. It's Many Mental Vacations. I'm teaching on meditative practices in this book and how to unplug. I have the 10 top principles on how to unplug, because we need to know how to push our refresh button. We need to how to tap into our creative solutions, because my solution for me may not be the solution for you. But when you can hear God and you know you got a solution and you act upon it, because as soon as you hear it, you need to act upon it. You know what I mean? Because when you know, like on your show, somebody comes on, something you guys say, and your audience is listening, but they don't take action, and they wonder why something else shows up later. Like you put your book on the screen. Everybody listening to this segment tonight should be buying your book, because there's something in there that is needed for them to hear. You know what I mean? That's why you're able to jump in at the time that you did, because we recognize that when we have been asking all these questions, they get answered at different times.
Right.
But can you hear when you're getting the answer, and can you take action because you know it's time to do so?
Right.
And then so I asked that question a week ago. Well, your answer came up today.
Yeah.
Take action today.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of just sitting and not doing anything about it.
Exactly.
So it's funny, because it's actually what you said, like, brings about the fact that meditation and breath work bring about what's called presence. Like, you're constantly present, so you're aware of the messages that you're being given from God, the universe, however you want to say it. Like, the messages are constantly being shown to you. But if you're not aware enough to see it or present enough to see it, then you'll never get the message. So it's awesome that, you know, you said that you were hit upside the head with a leaf after asking the question. You didn't get to finish it. Go ahead. I got it. and that's important, though. And that's what the meditation and the breath work does. It keeps you present in the moment. Because truthfully, if we're talking about, you know, the truth about time, there is no true past and no true future. It's only now. It's the now here. We're always in this moment. So being completely aware, you know, through the breath work, through the meditation, even if it's walking meditation, and you're focused, like you said, you can be driving and breathing and meditating, you know, listening to something that's calming or whatever, however it works for you. But you can be present in that moment and learn so much. And we don't do that. We don't do that in this society.
The presence. We don't appreciate the present moment because we're always looking either ahead or we're looking behind.
Yeah.
Those are the distractors.
Yeah. So Mark, our producer, said too many people ask the questions but don't look for the answers. And also too many people also expect the solution to be provided by God.
Right.
See?
Yep.
And we have the soul. The soul is the mind, the will, and the emotions.
Yes.
And when they're out of whack, you most of the time can't hear nothing of substance. You know what I mean? You value what you hear because you're on that emotional roller coaster ride, and because you've been going on that back and forth because you haven't tuned your ears to listen, and it's your inner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everything hits the heart. Everything hits the heart. You know, I think a lot of people don't realize that every time we get upset, our heart skips a beat.
Mm-hmm.
Our breath is challenged. You know, it's shallow because the body goes into the fight, flight, and freeze. Right. You know, and the more it does that, the more chaotic your mind becomes because you're filling up all the space with stuff called stress, pressure, anxiety, people's issues, people's opinions, pride, ego. I mean, all these things get stuck in here. And how do you clean it out? You got to learn to listen and release. If we thought about how many times we get upset in a day, if we just thought about, we'd actually see between 4,000 to about 12,000 different ads a day. Some kind of way. Right. Whether it's repeating of your mind, that's an ad. We don't think about it that way, you know, or whether it's the fact that you're driving or you're riding and you're looking at billboards or you're looking at your phone. I mean, when I gauge myself on my phone, a couple of weeks ago, I was up to 8 hours in a day. I'm like, who got that kind of time to be hopping off and on the phone? You know, I said, oh no, Eliza, we're gonna have to fix this and fix this fast. You know, and that means answering the phone too. So what I did, I stopped answering all the calls that come in because I found that they were distractors. Not that I didn't know that, but I had to get back on my regimen of making sure that what I want to accomplish in these certain time frames, I'm not distracted. Because I know later on the pressure shows up. Girl, you didn't get that done, or you didn't check that off the list. You know what I mean? And these are the pressures we deal with on a circular time. You know what I mean? That something's always showing up. But if you have the practice in place where you know how to disconnect, refresh yourself through your breath, through a meditative. I mean, you could even, there's so many apps out here. I'm in the process of getting ready to get an app myself, though. There's so many apps out here that help you to do certain things. But if you don't do the first part of the work and create the habit, the other stuff is not going to work.
Yeah. So Mark made another comment. A lot of the answers are provided in our dreams. I believe that God and our ancestors give us a lot of answers if we only listen. Yes, I believe in our ancestral connections, and it's not just our bloodline ancestors.
Right.
I know I have a lot of dreams and have for years, and the Lord reveals dreams to me, not always right away. Sometimes, you know, it takes a period of time, but everything is connected together. So that I fully understand the dream. So it might take weeks and it might take months, but then I fully understand. Like now I'm learning about, you know, speech, the importance of words and the value of words. So, and God speaks, like Mark said earlier, God speaks in many ways. I mean, it might be through a commercial on TV. You know, we get our answer about something. Or, a billboard, a tag on a car. You know, I'm just throwing out some examples, but our answers come in many ways to questions that we ask. We may not get the answer right away, you know, when we listen, but, you know, or we might get a piece of it or not at all, but it's coming. So, you know, the answers are in so many things. It's not limited to just one thing or one way. So, you know, when I learned that, you know, I was really appreciative of that. And I really look and watch for, you know, answers because we never know how they're coming.
Yeah. And I agree about what Mark said about the dreams. Because, you know, as you know, I've had precognitive dreams since I was at least 6. You know, I see a whole scene of something that's about to happen. And I'm like, that was weird. Then the next day it literally happens exactly as I dreamed it. I'm like,
wow.
Is that deja vu? So yeah, absolutely. You get information, you know, from ancestors, from the dream realm. There's again, you got to think about it. God is omniscient. God is omnipresent. So how do you think that there's a limitation on how God can speak to you?
Right. He
So
spoke through a donkey.
What
were you going to say? Go ahead. What'd you say, Gene?
Nah, I said he spoke through
a donkey. I know what you was getting ready to say. I'm just being silly. What were you going to say, Elijah? Do you remember?
No, I just totally agree. And what I'm gathering from everything we've said tonight, if people don't get, they need to upgrade your listening skills.
Yes.
Because they've been tainted too long, Yes. And back to the self-care for briefly, before we go to bed at night, we need to cleanse ourselves. Because there's so much unknown stuff that we've taken on. And our ancestors do love to assist us. Since my mother passed, I can feel her presence. First, it was a little weird. I was like, Mom, is that you? See, my auntie used to always talk about my father would come visit her. And I'd be like, here she go again. Because I wasn't open to receive, and I was religious. I was taught that that's the devil stuff. You know what I mean? And so I had to get cleansed from all those things that create all those limits inside of me. Back to the listening. So I would listen to my auntie, and she says, "Honey, I can feel your resistance." I said, "Auntie, I don't know how to let it go." And she says, "Put your hand on your stomach." She says, "I want you to go get some warm water and sip on it. And put your hand on the stomach and just begin to have a conversation with God and ask him to show you the way." I had all these little remedies that really, 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 really work. And so when I began to do that, it broke down the resistance. She says, because it's in your gut. Your gut's resisting it. I was like, Auntie. She says, girl, I could put some things in a book. So I began to listen. And then, but this is the thing, every time she came to me that my father was talking about one of my siblings, she was exactly right. And I know nobody told her because she didn't have the conversations with them. I was the closest one to her, So I began to listen to her at that point in time. And now she's visiting me in my dreams.
There you go.
Wow. Now what I've learned about dreams is you should write a dream down, because every time you go back and read that dream, there is something else that you're going to glean from that dream. Just taking the time to do it may seem like it's, but I'm telling you, the benefit of doing it is so huge, because it's connected to something else you need to know, something you need to experience, and it brings about answers in other areas, and it ignites your creative solutions once again.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're having this conversation, because not many people who still read the Bible want to have this conversation. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I just got to keep saying to the audience, you got to upgrade your listening skills, because we're getting it. Listen, I'm ready to go up another level, because I recognize now. And this is the thing. When you come out of a meeting, what did you really hear? When you heard a thought, what was in it for you to know? When you woke up that morning, you need to get up and answer that phone call because it's ringing. Oh no, that has disrupted my day so many times. You're not gonna get me waking up and calling me. I'm just not gonna answer. I don't care if it's an emergency, because it has thrown my day off so many times before. I don't have to learn that lesson again. You know what I mean? So it comes to, when you've not listened to something, how many times you have to keep learning that lesson over, over and over and over again. It's like, come on, break the record, and become, a higher learner of listening. And there's so many ways to learn to listen. Like you said, God is always speaking through this, that, and the other people. Yeah. Think about how many times you've gotten in your vehicle and a song came on, and you're like, oh,
Or you're talking out loud to God, and then you're not really paying attention to the song, and all of a sudden the answer hits you right there, and then the lyrics hit you right there with the answer. Wait a minute, did I just?
Yes. Turn the TV on. Somebody called. I remember when I was supposed to move back to Philadelphia, and I was in resistance. I was like, I am not leaving this condo by the golf course. I'm just enjoying my life for the last few years. And And so a guy calls me. He says, Eliza, I don't know why I'm calling you. I'm going to tell you this. I hear God say, you need to move back to Philly and be with your mom. I said, you need to get out my business. Get out my business, you know. And he started laughing. And then my actual producer was calling. So I said to him, hold on a second. My producer says, Eliza, why don't you just move back to Philly? I said, oh God, you're going to bombard me like this? I knew I could feel the overwhelmness that I had to submit to it. You know what I mean? But I still wasn't willing. It took me another 60 days to make the shift, you know, but I made the shift and asked God to be patient with me because it was hard for me to leave where I wanted to be, to go to a place I didn't want to be with my mom at that point in time. I wanted to take care of her, but I felt like she didn't need that much care. She'd come live with me. She was like, I am not coming to live in the boonies. It's just not going to happen, you know? Yeah. So, you know, a lot of times, once again, we're in that place of resistance, but we ask for patience to process through the situation that you feel resistant about or something that's just tormenting you, how to come out of it, ask the answers, seek the help, you know what I mean? And get the support system in place and create the habit that you know now, because you took the next step to listen, to do this, there's more answers waiting.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Those creative solutions. Absolutely.
So that makes me think about, you know, something that I think about so much more. And so, you know, so often recently is the journey. You know, we are really on a journey, you know, and so we get to, and this is one of the things that I say to my coaching clients, you know, and I've said it on a few of our shows, you know, we get to a place right here is a place where we got to make a choice. This is what I got. And this is, you know, this is what I can have. So I don't know what this is that I can have, but I do know that this that I got right now is not what I want. So I'm at the fork in the road. I got to make a choice. Which way am I going? Do I stay with this? Keep going through this, keep experiencing this, or do I let go and go in a way that, you know, I don't know what's that way, but I just know I don't want no more what I got.
Hello.
Yeah. So go ahead, Eliza.
No, I'm in agreement with you totally. I'm just supporting what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's so important to, you know, to learn that we have to make decisions and everything in life. You know, we have a free will of choice of what we do. You know, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. You know, if it ain't what you want, you know, if you want to see something different, you got to do something different. So, you know, and trying to, how does it go, Gene? Trying to stay in the same place, doing the same thing, expecting something different is insane.
Right.
Something like that.
Doing something over and over again, expecting different results is insanity.
Yeah.
It's funny because what you said, the only universal law is that the only thing constant in life is change.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
In the change, you know, and it's gonna be challenging. It's supposed to be, you know, that makes you stronger. And that's why, like as a child, you go from one height to another height through growing pains. So you have to go through that process of breaking down, destroying and rebuilding. You know, it's a disillusion of who you were to become who you are meant to be, and that's the beauty of the journey here. You know, you gotta go through change and be present in the change to reap all of the benefits of the inevitable, which is again constant change and growth.
Yeah.
You can even say, you know, those who stay still are dead. You know, Lao Tzu said that, you know, those who don't grow are dead. And those things that are growing have to go through a constant process of death and rebirth. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
That is it. That is it.
So,
and so the fear of change, I was going to say the fear of change is what holds most of us back, is that because the new seems so obscure. It feels like, how could I accept the new? But how can you accept the old when it's tearing you apart. You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
it's not giving you the quality of thinking, feeling, and being of what you really want for your life or in a particular situation. You know what I mean? And it's about how many times you're willing to make the changes, make the shifts, create the new habits, to have the new experiences, because you cannot have the new experiences. What comes to mind, the old, you cannot pour new wine into old wine skins.
Yes.
Don't change the habit.
Yeah.
And you will not get the freshness of life. You know what I mean? The new experiences, to be able to travel from one side of where you've been to where you've never been, to experience what is better for you, what is great for you, and not just say what has been good, but what's great for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we're supposed to experience heaven here on earth. But
Yes.
because we've been generationally so tormented, we don't believe that. A lot of people don't believe that we're going to experience heaven here, because once again, from the beginning of what we talked about, the limited thinking, it's time to break the stronghold off the thinking to get to the new places that we deserve to be and experiences in life that we exposed to have. Because we have these generations coming right now, and they don't have no fear.
Yeah.
And they don't have no shame. So I'm
At
coming
all.
to work for 3 weeks and get pay, and I'm going to do something with this money. You know what I mean? No shame about not being obligated to a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are self-committed to live the quality of life that they want. And one thing about them, I love the millennials. I love them. People come to me and say, I don't like the millennials. I said, then you ain't experiencing millennials I experienced.
Right.
They change.
Yeah.
They're going to enjoy their life, because they're not going to have a long life. So they are ready like this.
Right.
I'm going out to live my life today.
Yeah.
And I ain't working no 9 to 5 for no 40 years. They don't even exist anymore.
Live every day like it's my last, because you never know when it is.
All right. So, y'all, we are at the end of our show already. Eliza, we need you back for part 2.
Absolutely.
We need you back for part 2. Tell the audience how to get in touch with you, please.
Well, you can go to thebreathingexperience.com. That is my website. And I have courses and books on there. I don't do a lot of one-on-one right now, but if you really think that you're ready to scale up and commit to 3 months or more, let's do a call. Let's see if we're a good fit. You can actually reach me still on by texting me at 302-300-1884. If you call that number, you'll get a voicemail. You most likely won't get me, but we will return your call within 24 hours. And so, I mean, this is an exciting time to be alive, because everything is open to us. There are no more limits other than what stays here. And if you're ready to really make the shifts and the changes and gain some new skill sets to heal and to really upgrade how you've been doing things and to thrive in places that you've been stuck at for years, come check us out.
Yeah.
But if you're ready to stay stuck, don't come. Because I'm not about pulling anything out of anybody. You have to have a willingness to say, I'm willing to submit to the process.
Right.
And you're going to have to invest in yourself, because I'm not cheap.
Yeah. So do you have a Cash App, Eliza? You have a Cash App?
It is cash. It's the $ Eliza, ELIZA, and it's Dukes, DUKES. But
again,
Eliza
please.
Dukes Carter will come up later, but it's actually $ Eliza Dukes. Yep.
And Jean, your Cash App, please.
Oh yeah, hashtag Premier Fitness Mem, PREMIER Fitness MEMPH. Almost forgot how to spell it.
And say it one more time, please.
All right, hashtag PREMIER Fitness MEMPH.
All right, and my Cash app is hashtag love. Capital L on love, misunderstood, all one word. And the L and the M are both capitalized. Love, misunderstood. And both the L and the M are capitalized, and it's all one word. So we are at the end of our show. Eliza, we want you to come back. So we'll make arrangements for that because we didn't get all of this done. We want you to teach some of those breathing techniques, at least one, and we want you to talk a little bit more about your books, or at least introduce your books and tell us how we can get your books. So Mark said we're going out with y'all singing. So
What?
So both of y'all sing something. He's taking us over an hour, but I'm up for it. Let's go.
Okay, you and me first, Jean.
You, ladies first.
Oh, he said Eliza singing for Genius's Common video. So
Okay.
let's save that singing. I apologize, I misread. So let's save that singing. They're both singers, y'all. So y'all got to come back and hear their unique, wonderful, beautiful voices. We are at the end of our show. We are thankful and grateful that you joined us on our show. We send you away with peace. We send you away with love, happiness, and joy. We send to you. Take care. Bye for now. Thanks, Eliza, for coming on the show. And we are going to make arrangements for you to come back so we can finish this show. Gotta have a part 2.
Yes.
Okay, Mark, we're ready. We're at the end of the show.
Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. We know all of this genius inside of us, we continue to develop and change because the master, the omnipotent one, placed his image and his likeness inside of you and I. So we've got to stay the course. I'm Eliza Carter, CEO of the Breathing Experience Movement, master breathologist, stress and behavior analysis strategist, a recording artist, a best-selling author, and an ambassador to the Genius is Common movement, because we know that genius is common. So keep in your flow. And I appreciate you, Bruce George. Thank you kindly, and blessings and peace.
Where is the